The issue begins with Howard Stark working in the Maker's main lab on the Immortus engine. Beside him is Reed Richards wearing a Doom-style mask. He hints that he knows the Maker's greatest secret, how he reshaped the world. He offers to tell Howard, but Howard says he'll listen only after their work is finished. Once the Immortus engine is complete, Reed reveals that time itself is unstable, overlapping and looping endlessly. He explains he's been trapped in the Maker's lab for an unknown length of time, forced to exist as part of an endless experiment. The Maker controls everything around him, even the flow of light, proving Reed's reality is entirely in the Maker's hands. When Howard offers to help him escape, Reed refuses. Both of them, he says, are prisoners of who they've become. A week later, we see Howard Stark suiting up in his red and silver Iron Man armor. We also see Reed, now fully wearing a Dr. Doom-style suit, fully embracing his role as Doom. We then see Reed hand Howard the Immortus engine, and Howard says he'll see him on the other side. Howard arrives before the Maker and presents the case, which immediately pleases him. The scene then cuts to Reed pulling something from an envelope. The Maker opens the case and claims that Howard's device is only a copy of his own creation, a perfected version he already built. While he speaks, Reed connects something to the city's mainframe. Howard, growing frustrated, says he's tired of trying to decide which monster is more acceptable. With Reed's help, he activates the system and opens the force field, allowing Kang and his army to invade the city. Instantly, countless versions of heroes, Captain America, Thor, and others, burst through reality and launch an assault on the Maker's city. The Maker orders his Children of Tomorrow to defend it, unleashing an army of robotic soldiers. Massive battles erupt across the city as the Maker's forces clash with the invading multiversal heroes. The Maker, angry at Howard for his betrayal, tells Stark that resistance is meaningless and that his only choice is to run and hide or fight inevitability, but he says even if he does, it won't matter anyways. Howard, in his red and silver Iron Man armor, still chooses to fight through waves of the Maker's forces. We then cut to the Maker, who is surrounded by destruction, calling the heroes pointless creatures and pawns, shouting that their defiance only delays the inevitable. He tells them to serve their purpose and bring him Kang. Kang finally sees the Maker and says he has waited 2 lives for this moment before he and the Maker collide in a violent clash of power. Amid the chaos, Howard fights desperately, but is struck down by Thor and Giant Man, left barely conscious beside the activated Immortus engine. Kang gains the upper hand and lands a devastating blow on the Maker, but instead of defeat, it triggers something within him. The Maker smiles, thanking Kang, saying that now he remembers him. We then cut to the far future. The Maker reaches the end of time itself, desperate to see if his new world will last. There he meets Kang, who reveals he's been waiting for this moment. Kang calls the Maker his creator, and Kang declares that this encounter marks his origin. As he attacks the Maker with Repulsor Blast, we cut back to now. We see Howard Stark with the Immortus engine in his suit. Kang says it's like looking at something that once was, and Howard corrects him, saying it's like looking in a mirror, before setting off the device. The city lies in ruins. Dead heroes and soldiers cover the ground. Howard climbs out of his armor and walks toward Kang. We don't see what he saw, but whatever it was, it clearly shocks him. We then see Doom walking through the city streets of Latveria carrying a briefcase. He passes by stunned civilians who stare upward at the domed city in the distance. 1 week later, world leaders and heroes meet in Latveria. The dome over the Maker's city has reappeared, sealed off once again. They discuss how time moves differently inside. 1 month outside once equaled 1,000 years within. Hulk warns that this time, it's been 2 years, meaning the Maker is either dead or planning something. At Stark Tower, Tony sits quietly with a letter from his father. Doom stands beside him, explaining that the world was collapsing and that Howard's final act was sending Tony the Immortus engine. Tony realizes his father entrusted him with completing what he started. Doom tells him that the choice of what to do next rests with him. When Tony asks if his father is dead, Doom admits he doesn't know, only that Howard fought until the very end. Determined, Tony decides to build something new. He begins repairing the Immortus engine, integrating it into a new suit capable of manipulating time and serving as a weapon. When asked what he'll call himself, Tony says he'll go by Iron Lad, at least until he earns a better name. In the past, Tony Stark and Doom travel through a frozen wasteland as Howard narrates a letter addressed to his son. He explains that if Tony is reading it, it means he's gone, leaving behind a world unfit for the innocent. Howard urges him to remember that it's never too late to change things, to fight for a better world. The issue ends with the Immortus engine activating, revealing Captain America encased in ice, a spark of hope and the true beginning of what comes next.